Hello friends and welcome to the Linux Administration Part 2 video on Intellipaat. Now before we head on to our today's agenda, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon. So without a further ado, let's discuss our today's agenda. First, we will study about package management and process monitoring. Moving ahead, we will discuss about Prelude package management. Then we will study about Yum repository server. And at the end, we will discuss about process monitoring.
Hello everyone, welcome to this session. So today we are going to do some advanced tasks using Yum package management repository. You might remember previously we have dealt with Yum packages, like we have installed packages using Yum install command, then we have removed packages, updated packages using the Yum command. But the thing was, in the past what we have done, we have installed packages, pulling them from the repositories which are hosted in the public internet, like we have done yum install httpd to install the Apache server, for example, and that Apache package was pulled from some public repository present in the internet. So say there is a situation where you don't have access to the internet, you just have your own servers in a local LAN and you want to install packages using yum. So what do you do in such a case? In such a case, you have to create your own private repository or a local repository from which other systems in your network will be able to pull packages. So for this, what we will do, we will create a client system like a Linux system in VirtualBox, which would do the installation, and we will create a server which would be a repository server for yum, and that would be used to store all the packages. So we will use the client to install the packages, and the server would be the one which would provide the packages. Begin with the package management prelude. So first of all, let us recap what kind of packages were present in the Linux system. As you know, if you're using a Red Hat based Linux distribution, then you have a RPM package for installing softwares, and the same applies to CentOS version also, because Red Hat and CentOS come from the same stable version of Linux. And here we use the RPM, the Red Hat package management uh, package format. And then if you use distributions like Ubuntu or Debian, then you have the .deb file formats which are for the Debian packages. And apart from that, in Linux sometimes we use .bin files which are just executed in order to do the installation of the softwares. So these are the three kinds of packages basically we come across in Linux. Apart from that, we can also do some compiling, by which we can compile certain packages. So that involves the use of make command, where you use the C library to build the packages and then install it. So this is it. And apart from that, you might know the significance of bin and slash bin. As I said, when a package is installed, the commands and executables are present in the slash bin, slash sbin, and slash etc. As you know, slash bin stores the binaries or the commands, slash sbin stores super user binaries, that is the commands which is required to be run by the system administrator or the root user, and etc in package context is the directory where you store the configurations. As I said, whenever we install any package, the configuration files are stored in slash etc directory. So this is how it all works. So when we talk about why package management is required for the Linux distributions, the answer is package management makes it simple to install any software in Linux, because it's not like Windows where you get a installer wizard and you just click on next and next and the package gets installed. So in Linux we also have command line, so where we need to install packages from various sources which might also have dependencies, like one package may need some other package to be installed beforehand. So in order to manage all this and make it simple, we have certain package management programs. One of them is yum. So yum makes it simple to install the package. When you just write yum install and then the package name, then the package and its dependencies are pulled and they get installed. So that is why we require these package management programs. So they can be basically used to do three things. One of them is to install the packages, the second is to remove packages which have been already installed, and the third one is a very important one, like you have a package with a certain version and you can use the yum command to upgrade that package. So what are the commands which we use in case of yum? As you might recap, we have used this already in previous sessions. We use yum install and then the package name in order to install the packages. We use yum update in order to update the packages, yum upgrade to upgrade the operating system distribution and all the packages which are installed, and we certainly use yum remove and then the package name in order to remove the packages which we want to discard from the system. So these are the most important commands. And one of the other command is, if you give the yum command with a download only flag, then what happens, it will just download the package instead of installing it. So say you write yum download only and then the package name say httpd, then you will see that the package is just downloaded and not installed. So these are the various yum commands. You can try them out on your own in case you haven't already, and then you can go ahead and use them for doing this install, update, upgrade, remove, removing of packages. So these are the yum command line usage syntax. And now what we are going to do today is first create a repository server for yum, so that, as I said, we can create a, you know, distribution where all the packages are present in a certain system, which is the server, and you can have it as a storehouse of the packages, and then you can have another system where you can install the packages which will actually pull the package from the server, the repository server. So let's go and do a hands-on in order to understand this better. So first of all, for that I have this virtual box ready. So here I am running two virtual boxes with CentOS 7 distribution in it. This is one of them, the Linux box, and this is the other one, the Lab Linux. So we will create the server in the Linux box and the client in the Lab Linux, and try out the yum repository server and client. So then here what we have is we have a repository server with IP 192.168.0.22. This we are going to use as the yum repository server, this system, and this one with the IP 192.168.0.104, in this case we are used to go to install this as the client system for yum. So say you have more systems in your local LAN which all have Linux, you can add them to the server and do the package installations. So for the demo purpose, we just need one server and one client. So you can create two servers in the virtual box, one for this repository server, another to act as a client. So let's go and configure the server first. For that, you need to keep the packages in a certain directory. Okay, so the first step is you have to mount the DVD which contains the CentOS Linux distribution. For that, in the storage, what I have done is I have mounted this CentOS 7 DVD. Okay, so in order to do that, you can go here, click on this icon and choose the DVD file which you have already kept in your system. You can even browse and store it by using this option. So it will open a window where you can choose which ISO is kept in which location. That can be chosen from here. So I have chosen this ISO CentOS 7 64-bit DVD. Okay, so you can even download this DVD and choose it here. And if you are using a 32-bit system, then you have to choose CentOS 7 32-bit, not the 64-bit. Okay, so according to your own system configuration, you have to choose the DVD. And since I have mounted it here, so my job is done. This is mounted. Now here I have to run a command in order to mount that DVD into a certain directory. Like I said, in Linux we have the /mnt and /media directories to mount our DVDs or CDs or ISOs. So we use that. And in case you are doing this in a physical system, then you just have to insert the DVD disk in your tray and then run this command, which I'm going to run here. So mount /dev and CD-ROM. This is the device which contains the CD or DVD which we have mounted, and then we give the mount point location, that is /mnt. So once we run this command, then what happens, it has mounted the write protected disk as a read-only mode in the /mnt directory. So now if I go to /mnt, I can see the contents of the DVD. So here if I do ls-l, I can see all the files and folders which are inside that DVD, which has this CentOS 7 distribution. Why I'm doing this? Because this DVD contains all the packages which Linux would normally use. Okay, so all that is contained in this directory, the packages directory. If I go into this directory, you can see by doing a ls that it contains all different RPM files. These are nothing but the package files. So now if we store this in this server, if we copy it to some location and store it, then what will happen, that will serve as a repository server. Okay, after doing certain configurations which I will demonstrate. So I get all the packages from this DVD in this manner. So you mount them using the mount command. As I said, this command mount /dev/cd-rom into the /mnt directory. You can pause this video once you are learning. You can pause and copy these commands and try them out. Okay, so I have done this command, and then I enter the packages directory using cd, and then I ls to confirm that all the packages are present here. Okay, and after that, let me tell you one thing. All these packages would be stored in the server once I copy them from here to some location in the server. But in order to serve these packages to other client systems, we need to have certain server software installed in it. That can be HTTP server or a FTP server. So HTTP is very convenient to use, so we are going to use HTTP. So for that you have to install Apache in the system. So in order to install Apache, you have to run this command yum install httpd. In my system it's already there, so it's showing that already installed. And once that is installed, you should run the systemctl start httpd. In my case it's already started, so I'm just checking the status whether it's running or not. No, it's not running, so we can start it anyways. So you should also start this. So Apache server is started now. Okay, in order to confirm whether it is available from outside or not, we can go to the var www.html directory. This is the directory where Apache root lies. So here if I do ls, I can see there is one index file. If it is not there, you can use the vi command to create a index.html file and inside it you can write some content in order to verify it is available from outside or not. Now we can use this browser and browse into that directory and check whether it's available or not. So let's give the IP address 192.168.0.22. I think that's the IP of our server. Let's reconfirm here. Yes, 0.22. But we can see that the server cannot be connected. If that is the case, the reason would be there is some firewall or some security mechanism which is blocking this service. Okay, so in order to open that, we have to stop the firewall, because this is a demo system. Stopping the firewall would do no harm. So systemctl stop IP tables, that would stop the firewall. In some CentOS system there is a firewall called firewall D, so you can run that command as well. So that would also stop the firewall D. So both the firewalls are stopped. So now if we refresh this page, we can see that it is already asking us for some password, because I suppose this page was protected by the password here. So if that is the case, you can do ls-al. So you can see here that there is a htaccess file, so that is stopping us from direct access to the page and asking for a password. So we can move this .htaccess file into another directory slash temp. So that removes the htaccess. So now we would be able to refresh the page and directly see welcome to Intellipaat, the test page here. So these are the steps. You can do them taking your time. In your case, if you're installing fresh Apache, then htaccess would not be present. In our case, it was here because we had done another previous session with htaccess for Apache, so this file was present here. But in your case, if you're doing a fresh installation, it would not be there. So now once you can see the page, you know that your server for Apache is ready and it's accessible from outside. So this part is done. Now Apache server is set, and you have the packages mounted on /mnt. Now let's clear the screen and do the next step. The next step is copying all the packages from /mnt packages directory, okay, into a directory called local repo. Okay, so first you have to create a directory called local repo inside var www.html, the HTML root directory. So where am I right now? I am in var www.html. Inside it, what you have to do, you have to create a local repo directory. So if I press enter, that directory will be created. But in my case, I did not press enter. I just canceled the command using Control C. Why? Because I have already created that directory in order to make things faster. So now this directory is also present in this location. Okay. Next step is to copy everything from /mnt. So again, I get inside the /mnt packages directory, and inside it, as you know, we have all the RPMs. So we will copy all these files, cp-arp, to recursively copy everything. So you can give star.star so that every file will be copied. Star is the wildcard character. Into which directory? The one which we created right now, var www.html local repo. So we are going to copy every package into this directory. Again, I'm canceling this command using Control C, but you have to run enter. Okay, why I'm canceling? Because I have already copied, as I said, in order to make this video faster, because it's going to take a bit of time to copy all the files. They're around 4 GB in size, all the packages of Linux. So inside it, as you can see, I have copied all the RPMs from that CD or DVD, whatever you have, into this directory. So in the local repo, we var www.html local repo, we have all these RPMs now. Okay, so these steps are over. Now I have listed a few more steps which we are going to use to create this repository. So this step is done, mounted, then we entered the repository, and then we created a directory called local repo, and then we copied the packages inside it. Okay, so these are various steps. Apart from that, here are some RPMs which you have to install in order to make this work. Okay, these are some prerequisites. So in your case, what you can do, you can get inside this directory local repo and run these commands: rpm ivh libxml rpm ivh delta rpm. I have already installed these packages in this server, but in your case you can clear the screen. You are inside the local repo directory. You can then install rpm ivh libxml python. So you just type libxml python. So, and you, if you press tab, it would be automatically completed. So this package is installed. So since I had already installed, it's showing already installed. In your case, it would get installed. You can pause the video and do these steps. So here delta rpm, and again I install it. Similarly, you copy this part of the command. This version part is not recommended to copy because these versions can vary according to your distribution. So all these are already installed in our case, so we don't need to install them again. So here again I install everything that was required. So these 4 packages need to be installed. You can pause the video and check the names of these packages and type it accordingly in your system and install them. So once this step is over, next what we need to do, we have done this step as well. Now we have to create a file called local repo inside yum.repos.d. So the command is this: we have to create a file vi /etc/yum.repos.d and then local repo.repo. That is the file name for the repository server. Inside it there is nothing yet, and we have to put these text. So you can again pause the video and copy this. It should be in exactly the same format which we have done, just the repository name can be anything which you want. Okay, and here the base URL would be the URL of your server. Like in my case, the base URL will be in the server, it will be like this: file colon triple slash var www html and then local repo. So this triple slash is important when you are writing file and not httpd or ftp. Then you have to give triple slash and then var www html local repo. This is the location where all the repository files are there. GPG check is 0. We don't want to make any privacy checks, and enabled is 1. That means this repository is enabled. So now you save this file. Okay, so we create this repository file in local repo.repo in yum.repos.d directory in the etc folder. So this step is done. Once that is done, again you get into this folder var www html local repo. We are already inside it, so no need to go. Otherwise you just write cd and then enter this directory. So now after this step, you have to run this command called create repo -v and then the path to the repository. what that does, it creates a index of this repository so that it can be easily located by the client systems. So this command is very important. So what it does, it is reading the names of each and every package which is present inside the repository and listing them into an index file. So you have to wait for a few minutes in order to get the index ready. So once that index will be ready, we will go and run these commands. Yum repo list, that would display the list of all the repositories present in the system. Then we'll clean everything. Clean in the sense it will not delete files, it will just clean the yum cache and then update it with the new repository which we create. So our repository server will be ready, and when we do update, it will read the configuration of all the repo files and our server would be good to go. So now we can see here it has created the index in so and so date and time, and the SQLite DB is complete, the database of the RPMs. Okay, so we have done this. Now let's clear the screen. So the screen is cleared now, and I use Control L to clear the screen. You can even write the clear command. So now we have run the create repo command. Now let's run these commands. Yum repo list to display the repositories present. So now in the list of repository we can locate this local repo, Intellipaat local repository. This is the repository server which we have created right now, and these were the repository servers that already came with CentOS. Okay, so these are the public servers and this is the local server which we are creating right now. So we have our local server listed. That means our repository creation is going in a correct direction. Now we clean all the existing cache that was created has been cleaned up, and now if we do the yum update command, it would update its new repositories. So that would take a bit of a time to get itself updated. So it is reading all the repo files now, so it will also read the contents of our local repo. So this one is also done. So it's trying to update the SQL DBs of each and every repository, so including our local repository which it has already read. This is the local repo, and 2.8 MB is the size of that local repository's primary database or the index file which I was talking about, and we created this using the create repo command some time ago. So now all the repositories are almost ready. So once the last one, 10 of 10, this one is created, we will be able to then use our local repo and install RPMs. So after that, let me explain. We will just try to install a certain package called vsftpd. This is just a test package. You can use this to install any package, like you can install net tools in order to get network commands. You can install anything in order to test the repository. This command is just to test whether our repository is working or not. And what we are doing here, we are writing disable repo is equal to star. What does that mean? That means that, say I have 10 repositories here. Okay, like here when it was getting updated, you could see there are 10 repositories here: CentOS, KMU, EPEL, local repo, and all different repositories. But we don't want to use all the repositories. We want to use this in order to install. So in order to do that, we are going to use, I'm pressing no here because I don't want to update all the packages. So that is done. Okay, so if we run this command now, what will happen, it will disable all the repositories and just enable the local repository and try to install vsftpd from that repository. So let's try this command out. So here you can see it is going to install the package vsftpd as we said, and pulling it from the local repo which we created and not from the internet. So this is a good sign. That means our repository is working perfectly fine. So that is why we gave this command, because if we don't give the switch hyphen hyphen disable repo, then it will pull the vsftpd from some other public repositories, and if internet is not present, say in the system, then it would fail. So if we are using local repo, then we don't need the internet, which we can just pull it from the local repository. So we give this command in order to disable every repository present in the system and enable the local repository, so that only that one is used to provide the packages. So if I press yes, then it will install vsftpd package. So you can try this using any package name. Okay, so now the repository server is ready, so we can install everything from the repository server. Say I run this same command, yum install vsftpd from the client system. Then you can see vsftpd is pulled from a repository called updates. This is a public repository. We don't want that. We want to install from the local repository. So in order to do that, we will have to prepare our client system and connect it to the server which we created here. Okay, for that there are few steps to be followed. So the first step is creating a repo file which will connect to the local repository. So what is that step? That is, again, we have to create this file, yum.repos.d local repo.repo. Inside it, we have to write the same contents but with a little variation. The variation is the base URL will now point to the server. Okay, which server? The server which we created. So here we have to put the server's IP address, the one which we were trying to connect with the browser, this one. So this is the IP address of the server. So let's copy it and paste it. Once that is in place, we can provide the path. The path is /local repo, because inside it all the packages are present, and we know that we have copied the packages in the server in local repo directory. So that is it for the client configuration. Base URL is the most important one, rest of the things remain same. So once this is done, again we have to rerun those steps. Like if we do a repo list here, we will be able to see our repository local repos showing up. That's good. Now again we do the clean all to clean the old cache present in the client system. So it has cleaned up. Now if we do a update, it would show the updates for all the repositories, but we will not install the packages which are shown up during the update. So here we can see it is reading the DB files for all the repositories present in the system, and it has already read the local repos database. So this will take a while, and once this part is done, we can install the vsftpd package, and we will see that that package is not pulled from the updates directory like it was. This time it should be pulled from the local repository server which we created. So let's wait for the package to get updated. So that one is done. Now it will try to update certain packages which are not in the updated version. So these are the list of packages it is showing, but anyways we are not going to update it right now, so let's press no. So that part is over. Now let's clear the screen. Now again we will try to run that same command vsftpd, but we will provide these switches. Like I said, we will disable every other repository in the server, and we will just try to pull it from the local repo server. So these are the switches, and if I press enter, you can now see that it is pulling the package from the local repo server, and if I press yes, it will pull it from there and install it. So that is it. That is how the yum local server was created, and the client was created with the client file, and then you use this command with the flag disable repo star and enable repo local repo in order to install your packages. So now this is the way in which you can create a yum server and a yum client and install it in your local LAN without having access to the internet, because you get every package from that DVD which you have copied into the server, and you have HTTP Apache installed in it, and you have kept the packages in the local repo directory here in the Apache folder, okay, var www.html folder. So this is the folder which has all the packages now, and it is serving it via HTTP, and you can use the client to get access to it. And for that we are using this file where we have mentioning what is the server IP and what is the directory in which packages are kept. So it is installing it from there. So pretty simple. It may seem daunting in the present. You might see what all commands were run in different systems, but if you pause the video and do it step by step, you would be able to create the server and the client and then use yum to install the packages. Okay, so this is how we do a yum install for the servers. So this part is done, as well as this part where we created the client and then install everything. So that is all about the yum package management, and you should try this entire thing, creating two servers, and use one of them as the yum repository server, other one as the yum repository client. So now let's move on to the next part called process monitoring in Linux. This has nothing to do with the yum which we did right now. You can clear your mind out of that and then try the process monitoring. Now what is process monitoring and why do we use that? Say in any system you want to check what all processes are running or why the system is slow. So for that what you have to do is, let's use this system because it has some more processes running in it. You can, first command you can use is the top command. Top command gives you the PIDs of every process that is running, the IDs, process ID, and then the user which is responsible for running, and then it has all different types of parameters like the virtual memory used, and how much percentage of CPU is being used, what percentage of memory is being used, and what is the time since which this particular process is running, and what is the command or script that is running in this process. So all these details are available. Apart from that, you can see here the cumulative value of the CPU used, like total 0% CPU is right now being used, now it's 0.2 and stuff like that. And you can see the IO wait time also here, like how much time the CPU is keeping a process waiting. If this increases, then the system will be slow. Then you can see the load average, the load on the server. If this is higher than 1, then the system can go slow. Okay, so these are the various things which this is the real-time load, this is the load average of the last 5 minutes, and this is the load average of the last 15 minutes. So everything is recorded in the top command. Say you want to know the PID of a process called Apache. or httpd, then you can run this command psaux, give a pipe sign, and then grep http. So now it shows all the processes which is run by Apache user, and these are the scripts which are running. Okay, and you can get the PIDs here. Say some process is killing or taking memory or killing some other process, so you can kill that PID. So for that you can use the kill command, kill -9. 9 is for the getting the privilege that it would be executed right now, which is called the nice value. So 9 is the highest priority to be executed by the CPU. So if I instruct kill -9 and then any PID number, so this one, so it kills that PID. Next time you won't be able to see that PID 4783, you don't see that because that was killed by us. So this way they optimize servers, like if some process is killing resources or taking more resources, you can kill that. But if it is a production system, you should be careful, you should know what you are doing and then use it. So this way there are various types of process monitoring commands, okay, like ps top. Then apart from that there are certain other commands like iostat, which shows the IO stat value, that is the input output statistics, the number of transactions going in per second, TPS, how many files are being read from this disk/dev/SDA. So this much kilobytes, 1455 reads per second are happening right now, 1292 writes are happening per second right now. So these are all these parameters. So according to this statistics, you can know how much efficient your hard disk is, because if there are more writes than reads, then you have to optimize it in a certain way. If there are more reads, then you can have more RAM in order to cache your data and offload the stress on the hard disk. So this way the system monitoring occurs. Now you should not be concerned much about these, because once you start doing work in production system, you would be slowly able to understand these concepts better. Now you just have to know the commands to pull out these statistics. Now this system is not having much load. How do I know that? You can see the percentage idle is 97.55. that means 97.55% of the average CPU is now free, so it's available to serve. Now if this one is very less, then we know that the CPU is not under very high stress. So that way these commands help you to know how efficient the system is or how it is working. Now in GUI mode, you can see these statistics in a more convenient format, in the graphical format. Okay, so now let's go to the GUI screen of the same server. Let me log in the GUI mode. Under applications and then system tools, you can see this option called system monitor. This gives you an idea of the same things which we were doing in the command line. Here you can see these are the various applications running and how much memory each application is consuming, what is the priority by which it is handled by the CPU, which user is responsible for running this, and what is the process ID and what is the percentage of CPU. Okay, so you can even do a right click and stop this process, continue, and or kill this process. So in GUI you don't have to run these commands, you can just use this drop down to change priority of processes, to check how much memory or in which memory location that particular process exists, what are the different files that are opened in order to run that process, and lots of other information. So this is a very convenient place to know what is going on. Similarly, under the resources tab, you can see total how much percent of the CPU is in use, and there are two CPUs in the system, dual CPU, and each CPU and its load is being shown here, as well as there are graphs in order to demonstrate things in a advanced perspective. Similarly, here you can see the memory, okay, amount of memory used and the total memory available. 1.8 GB for this virtual machine, 778 is in use. How much swap is in use? 0. So if say swap is greater than 0, that means the memory is not sufficient to hold all the virtual data, so it is swapping, that is, it is keeping some part of that into the hard disk. So this way you can know the health of the system. So that is what is process monitoring. Similarly, here we can see the amount of activity going on in the network, how many bytes of data are downloaded, how many bytes of data are getting uploaded. So these are two graphs, the red one for upload data and the blue one for downloaded data. So this is how you can do the process monitoring. These are the file system statistics. Here you can see which device or partition, where it is mounted, what is the file system type, and what is the total size, and how much is available and how much is used. So all this information here, like the slash directory here, total size is 13.9 GB right now, available size is this much. So this is available, so the disk is not full, it's just 55%. Okay, similarly this is the ISO which we loaded, so that is also showing because we mounted in /mnt, so it's 100% used up. So these are the various aspects which you can monitor, and process monitoring helps you to know the health of your system, and you can be able to understand your system better by process monitoring, instead of just being blind and not knowing what to do or why the system is slow. Now this button, this search button, helps you to search a certain process, like say we want to look for HTTPD. If it's present in the process, then it will show up. Say we want to know the genome process, it is showing all the list of processes named with genome. So this is how we do the process monitoring. You should use all these tools apart from the command line tools as well. And say in case of file system, these are the information showed in a graphical format here. Say you want to see them in the command line format also, then you remember you could use the df command to show the same information. df-th, it shows the root partition, how much is used, how much is available, and information like that. So these are the process monitoring tools. You can use them in order to do your process monitoring activities, and you should try all these commands and know about the process, CPU bottlenecks, network bottlenecks. As we saw, the uploads, downloads, whatever is going on, everything can be monitored using the genome process monitor. Let me demonstrate you one more thing, like you can even see the logs in order to know what else is occurring in the system. For the logs, you can go to the same application, system tools, and this system log. It's asking for the password. Let's insert it. Here you can see the log window has opened up. If you enlarge it, you can see all the different logs are present here. Like yum log, you can see what all yum commands outputs and that were logged, like we installed certain packages, so all these are present. The last one we installed today is the vsftpd package. While checking this out, so it's showing up here that this package was installed at this time at this date. So everything is recorded in the log files. So if anything goes wrong, you can check the logs and get the proof that what happened in the system. Say anyone erased certain thing, so you can check the log and know that someone has erased it. So these all give you the idea of the process and its health, and this overall system health as well. This var log secure, this directory stores all the log files for the logins taking in the system. So if we logged into the system as root, it would have an entry here like this one, like we logged into root today. So this is the date and time which we logged in using SSH. Because we logged in the terminal, the password for root was accepted from this IP. This is the IP of this system which I am demonstrating from. So I used this IP to log in. So everything is recorded here. Similarly, the boot log will give you the time for when the system was booted and what all processes were started up. So this is the cron log, which shows what all activities took place and at what time. Mail log, what all mails were sent from this system, if any. So we don't have a mail log. That means no mails were sent from the system. Var log messages, this shows if any kernel messages were outputted, like anything happening in the kernel, anything and everything that is logged here. So these are all convenient ways of checking logs if you have a GUI available. If you don't have GUI, you can check the same logs from this location. From the command line, you can go to var var log, and then inside it, if you do a listing, you can see all the same logs which we were seeing here, that is present here as well. The yum log, like I said, if I do a vi and enter, and if I go to the last line, I can see the last entry, vsftpd was installed. So this is how we can monitor the entire system using process monitoring. So you should try all these commands and everything that was demonstrated here. You can pause the videos and try them out.
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat provides Linux administration online training mentored by industry experts, the course link of which is given in the description below. Now, let's continue with the session.